The morning sun filtered through the tall glass doors of the Grand Meridian Hotel, casting long golden rectangles across the polished marble floor. Lily Zhang stepped inside, the cool air a welcome relief from the summer heat outside. She tucked a strand of dark hair behind her ear and adjusted the strap of her worn backpack, which felt heavier with each passing hour. Lily had been traveling since yesterday evening, a delayed flight, a missed connection, and finally a cramped bus ride from the airport. Her jeans and simple t-shirt were wrinkled, and she knew she probably looked as tired as she felt. But none of that mattered. She was finally here, and the week ahead promised to be special. The lobby was impressive, with crystal chandeliers hanging from high ceilings and elegant furniture arranged in small conversational groups. Business people in sharp suits walked purposefully across the floor, while bellhops in crisp uniforms wheeled shiny luggage carts. Lily took a deep breath and headed toward the reception desk. Behind the gleaming counter stood Rebecca Miller, the senior receptionist of the Grand Meridian. Her blonde hair was pulled back into a perfect bun, not a single strand out of place. Her navy blue uniform jacket fit her like it had been tailored by the finest hands in the city. Rebecca's lipstick matched her manicured nails, and a small golden pin on her lapel indicated her senior status. Rebecca was known throughout the hotel for two things: her efficiency and her ability to spot guests who belonged and those who didn't. She prided herself on maintaining the Grand Meridian's exclusive atmosphere. The hotel was hosting the wedding of a famous fashion designer's daughter that weekend, and everything had to be perfect. When she spotted Lily approaching the desk, Rebecca's perfectly shaped eyebrows rose slightly. The young woman's casual clothes and worn backpack set off immediate alarms in Rebecca's mind. The receptionist's eyes narrowed as she watched Lily look around the lobby with wide-eyed wonder. Clearly, Rebecca thought, the girl had wandered into the wrong hotel. "Welcome to the Grand Meridian," Rebecca said, her voice carrying a hint of doubt. "Can I help you find something?" Her emphasis on something made it clear she didn't believe Lily was a guest. "Hi, I'm checking in," Lily replied with a warm smile. "I have a reservation for a week's stay." Rebecca's smile remained fixed, but her eyes turned cold. "A reservation? At the Grand Meridian?" She said it slowly, as if explaining something to a child. "Are you sure you have the right hotel? The budget lodge is 3 blocks east." Lily's cheeks flushed slightly, but she kept her composure. "Yes, I'm sure. The reservation should be under Lily Zhang." Rebecca tapped at her computer with her long nails, the clicking sound sharp and deliberate. A couple waiting behind Lily exchanged glances. The woman whispered something to her husband, who nodded with a frown. "I don't see anything under that name," Rebecca announced loudly, not bothering to lower her voice. "Perhaps you made the booking for a different date, or a different hotel altogether?" Her tone suggested that the latter was more likely. "Could you check again, please?" Lily asked politely, pulling out her phone. "I have the confirmation email right here." She held up the screen showing the Grand Meridian logo and her booking details. Rebecca sighed dramatically before looking at the phone. "Oh," she said flatly, "I see. It seems there is a reservation after all." Her surprise was evident, and not in a flattering way. "It must have been entered incorrectly in our system." The receptionist continued typing, her lips pressed into a thin line. "Will you be paying with credit card?" "The incidental hold is quite substantial." Again. Her tone implied doubt about Lily's ability to afford the stay. "Yes, credit card is fine," Lily replied, maintaining her calm, despite feeling the stares from other guests in the lobby. A well-dressed couple had stopped to watch the exchange, and the woman whispered something that made her companion look at Lily with curiosity. A bellhop nearby slowed his pace, pretending to adjust the luggage on his cart while listening to the conversation. "We require a valid ID as well," Rebecca continued, her voice carrying across the lobby. "And I should inform you that our executive floors and amenities are reserved for our premium guests and club members." Lily nodded and handed over her ID and credit card. "I understand. A standard room is all I need." Rebecca examined Lily's ID with unnecessary scrutiny, holding it up to the light as if checking for forgery. After running the credit card, she looked genuinely surprised when it was approved. "Very well. You're in room 418, Rebecca said, sliding a key card across the counter. "That's on the 4th floor. The elevators are to your right." She paused, then added with a smile that didn't reach her eyes, "It's one of our more modest accommodations. The view is of the service alley. Lily took the key card. Thank you. Do you need assistance with your... Rebecca glanced at Lily's backpack, searching for the right word. Luggage? The way she said it made the backpack sound like something that might contaminate the hotel's luxurious carpets. No, I can manage, thanks, Lily replied. Very well. Breakfast is served in the main dining room from 6:30 to 10 a.m. Again, executive lounge access is not included in your package. Rebecca emphasized the last word as if Lily had booked some kind of budget special, though her reservation was for a standard room at the full rate. As Lily turned to leave, Rebecca called after her, "Oh, and Ms. Zhang? We have a dress code for the main restaurant. Nothing too casual." Her gaze swept over Lily's travel outfit with thinly veiled disapproval. "I'll keep that in mind," Lily said, then walked toward the elevators with her head held high, despite feeling the heat of embarrassment on her cheeks. In the elevator, an elderly couple smiled kindly at her. "First time at the Grand Meridian, dear?" the woman asked. "Yes, it is," Lily replied. "Don't mind that receptionist," the man said quietly. "Some people think their job is to judge books by their covers. Been coming here for 20 years, and there's always one staff member who thinks they own the place." Lily smiled gratefully. "Thank you. I'm looking forward to my stay regardless." What neither Rebecca nor the kind couple knew was that Lily wasn't just any guest. Her father, David Zhang, had recently acquired the Grand Meridian hotel chain after years of building his business empire from nothing. He was a humble man who had taught his daughter the value of experiencing life without flaunting privilege. Lily had arrived early specifically to experience the hotel as a regular guest before her father's arrival for the ownership transition meeting later that week. She wanted to see the hotel through the eyes of an ordinary customer, not as the owner's daughter. When she reached room 418, Lily wasn't surprised to find it was indeed one of the less desirable rooms in the hotel. It was clean but small, with a window that faced a brick wall of the adjacent service building. The distant hum of kitchen exhaust fans provided a constant background noise. Lily set down her backpack and sat on the edge of the bed. She hadn't expected the welcome she received, but in a way it was informative. If this was how guests who didn't fit a certain image were treated, her father would want to know. She smiled to herself, thinking about the week ahead. Rebecca Miller had no idea who she had just checked in, and Lily decided to keep it that way for now. She was here to learn about the hotel, its strengths and weaknesses, and she had already discovered something important on her first day. Lily lay back on the bed, exhausted from her journey but excited about what was to come. The receptionist's rudeness was just the beginning of her story at the Grand Meridian, but Lily knew that endings could be surprising. And this particular ending would be one Rebecca Miller never saw coming. Lily woke to the sound of clanging pipes. She blinked at the unfamiliar ceiling, momentarily confused by the rhythmic banging coming from somewhere inside the walls of room 418. Quick glance at her phone showed it was just past 6:30 a.m., so much for sleeping in after her exhausting journey. The noise continued as she showered in the cramped bathroom, where the water pressure alternated between a trickle and a sudden blast without warning. The hotel's website had promised luxurious accommodations with premium fixtures, but the reality of her room told a different story. After dressing in a simple but neat blouse and pants, Lily headed down for breakfast. The main dining room was impressive, with tall windows overlooking a manicured garden. Crystal glasses sparkled on white tablecloths, and the scent of freshly baked pastries filled the air. As Lily approached the entrance, she spotted Rebecca at a small podium, checking room numbers before allowing guests to enter. The receptionist's eyes narrowed when she saw Lily. "Good morning," Lily said politely. Rebecca examined her tablet with exaggerated care. "Room number?" 418, Lily replied. "Ah, Ms. Zhang," Rebecca said, her voice carrying just enough to be heard by nearby guests. "I need to verify your breakfast package. Standard rooms aren't automatically entitled to the full breakfast experience." Lily kept her voice even. "My reservation includes breakfast. It's listed in my confirmation." Several well-dressed guests looked over with curiosity. A waiter paused nearby, pretending to arrange napkins while listening to the exchange. Rebecca made a show of checking her tablet again. "It seems there's a note here about a basic continental option for your booking category. The full breakfast buffet is an additional charge of $45. Lily knew this wasn't true. She had specifically booked a package that included the full breakfast. Rather than cause a scene, she simply pulled out her phone and showed Rebecca the confirmation details once again. Rebecca's smile tightened. There must be a system error. Very well, you may proceed. Please be aware that seating preference is given to our premium guests. The hostess led Lily to a small table tucked behind a large pillar, far from the windows and practically hidden from the rest of the dining room, despite numerous better tables sitting empty. As Lily finished her meal, she noticed a hotel staff member approaching guests with mimosas on a silver tray. The server visited every table in the section except hers. After breakfast, Lily stopped at the front desk to inquire about a package she was expecting. Some documents her father had sent ahead. "I'm expecting a delivery," she explained to the concierge. A friendly-looking man with a name tag reading Thomas. Before Thomas could respond, Rebecca stepped in. "I'll handle this, Thomas." She turned to Lily with a practiced smile. "What was the package?" "Just some paperwork. It should have arrived yesterday, addressed to Lily Zhang." Rebecca made a perfunctory check in the system. "I don't see any record of a package for you. Are you certain it was sent to this hotel?" "Yes, I confirmed with the sender yesterday." "Well, it's not here," Rebecca said with finality. "Perhaps there was a miscommunication about which hotel you're staying at? Or maybe it was sent to the wrong Zhang. It's a common name, isn't it?" The slight emphasis on common wasn't lost on Lily. Later that afternoon, Lily returned from exploring the city to find her keycard no longer worked. After 3 failed attempts, she headed back to the reception desk where, unfortunately, Rebecca was still on duty. "My room key isn't working," Lily explained. "Room number?" Rebecca asked without looking up. Rebecca's eyebrows rose slightly. Ms. Zhang, there seems to be an issue with your room." "What kind of issue?" "There have been reports of a plumbing problem on the 4th floor. We've had to move several guests." Rebecca tapped at her keyboard. "You've been relocated to room 312. When Lily arrived at room 312, she discovered it was even smaller than her previous accommodation, with a view of the hotel's air conditioning units. The constant mechanical hum was hard to ignore, and the room had a persistent smell of cleaning chemicals. Her suitcase had been moved. But when she opened it, Lily found her carefully folded clothes were now haphazardly stuffed inside. A bottle of face wash had been left open, leaking onto her favorite sweater. That evening, Lily decided to treat herself to dinner at the hotel's renowned restaurant. She had changed into a simple but elegant black dress, nothing flashy, but certainly appropriate for fine dining. As she approached the maitre d', she noticed Rebecca speaking quietly to him while glancing in her direction. When Lily gave her name for her reservation, the maitre d' looked uncomfortable. "I apologize, Miss Zhang, but we're fully booked tonight." Lily frowned. "I made a reservation yesterday. I should be in your system." The maitre d' checked his tablet. "I see the reservation, but—" He lowered his voice. "It seems it was canceled about an hour ago." "I didn't cancel it," Lily said. "Perhaps there was a misunderstanding," he offered weakly. From the corner of her eye, Lily could see Rebecca watching the exchange with satisfaction before walking away. The following morning, Lily discovered that the gym access code she'd been given didn't work. When she inquired at the reception desk, a different staff member informed her that her room category didn't include fitness center privileges, another piece of misinformation, as all rooms included basic gym access. By the afternoon of her second full day at the Grand Meridian, Lily had begun documenting each incident in a note on her phone. The pattern was clear. Whenever Rebecca was involved, obstacles appeared. The final straw came when Lily attempted to enter the executive lounge to use the business center for printing some documents. Rebecca happened to be chatting with the lounge attendant when Lily approached. "Excuse me," Rebecca called out loudly as Lily was about to enter. "The executive lounge is for premium guests only." Several people turned to look. 2 businessmen paused their conversation, and an elderly couple glanced up from their tea. "I just need to print a few pages," Lily explained. "The hotel guide in my room says all guests can use the business services." "That's the business center on the mezzanine level," Rebecca corrected with exaggerated patience, speaking slowly as if to a child. "This is the executive lounge. It's an exclusive space for our distinguished guests." She emphasized distinguished, while giving Lily's simple outfit a dismissive glance. "The business center on the mezzanine is closed for renovations," Lily pointed out. The sign directed guests to use the facilities here instead. Did it? Rebecca's tone was skeptical. Well, I'm afraid that doesn't apply to budget accommodations. She said the last two words just loudly enough for nearby guests to hear. A woman in an expensive suit looked Lily up and down with a smirk. The lounge attendant seemed uncomfortable but said nothing to contradict Rebecca. Lily felt her cheeks burn with humiliation. She was used to being underestimated. Her father had raised her to value substance over appearances. But the deliberate attempts to embarrass her were becoming harder to bear with dignity. As she turned to leave, Lily noticed an elderly couple being treated similarly by Rebecca. The woman was leaning on a cane, looking tired, while her husband tried to explain that they had club-level access. "I'm sorry, but I don't see that noted in your reservation," Rebecca was saying. "Perhaps you misunderstood the terms of your booking." The elderly woman looked close to tears. Her husband's hands trembled slightly as he searched through his wallet for their membership card. Something shifted in Lily as she watched the scene unfold. This wasn't just about her anymore. Rebecca's behavior was affecting other guests too, perhaps many she hadn't witnessed. Her father had always taught her that the true measure of a business wasn't how it treated its VIPs, but how it treated every single customer. The Grand Meridian, soon to be officially part of her father's hotel group, was failing that fundamental test. Lily took a deep breath and walked back to Rebecca and the elderly couple. The time for quietly documenting incidents was over. Tomorrow she would speak up not just for herself, but for every guest who deserved respect regardless of appearance or room category. What Rebecca didn't know was that her carefully constructed kingdom of small cruelties was about to face a reckoning, and Lily Zhang would be at the center of it. The quiet girl in room 312 was not who Rebecca thought she was, and the next day would bring revelations that would shake the receptionist's world to its core. Morning light filtered through the thin curtains of room 312 as Lily prepared for her third day at the Grand Meridian. Despite Rebecca's attempts to make her stay unpleasant, she was determined to experience the hotel as any other guest would. After all, that was why she had arrived early, before her father's scheduled appearance for the ownership transition, after a quick breakfast during which she noticed Rebecca had placed her at an even worse table than yesterday. Lily decided to explore the hotel's famous garden terrace. The brochure in her room described it as an oasis of tranquility in the heart of the city, and she was pleased to find the description accurate. Lily found a peaceful spot near a small fountain and opened her book. She had been reading for about half an hour when she noticed the elderly couple from yesterday slowly making their way along the stone path. The woman leaned heavily on her cane while her husband supported her other arm. "Good morning," Lily greeted them with a smile. The couple looked up, recognition dawning on their faces. "Hello, dear," the woman said. "Weren't you the young lady at the executive lounge yesterday?" Lily nodded. "That's right. I hope you eventually got access." The husband sighed. "After showing our membership card 3 times and then calling our son to email a copy of our confirmation. That receptionist made Grace feel like we were trying to sneak in somewhere we didn't belong." "I'm sorry to hear that," Lily said. "Would you like to join me? The view of the garden from here is lovely." The couple introduced themselves as Grace and Harold Barnes. They had been coming to the Grand Meridian twice a year for the past 15 years to visit their grandchildren. "It's changed lately," Harold said, shaking his head. "Used to be everyone was treated with respect, no matter what room you booked or how you dressed. The rumor is there's new ownership coming in," Grace added. "Staff are on edge. Some worry about losing their jobs." Lily listened thoughtfully. The hotel's culture ran deeper than one rude receptionist. If her father's company was going to successfully integrate this property, there would be challenges beyond updating the decor or changing the letterhead. Their conversation was interrupted by a commotion near the garden entrance. Rebecca's voice carried across the peaceful space as she spoke to a young family with 2 small children. "I'm sorry, but the garden terrace is reserved for adult guests during morning hours," she was saying. "It's a quiet zone until noon." The mother looked crestfallen, but the concierge told us specifically that the garden would be perfect for the children to run around while we waited for our room to be ready. "The concierge was mistaken," Rebecca said firmly. "Perhaps the playground 2 blocks away would be more appropriate for your situation." Her gaze lingered on the children's simple clothes and the Father's worn sneakers. Lily could see no signs, indicating age restrictions for the garden. In fact, another family with children was already there, though their designer clothes and polished appearance had apparently granted them immunity from Rebecca's rules. "Excuse me," Lily said, walking over. "I believe there's been a misunderstanding." Rebecca's smile froze when she saw who was speaking. "This doesn't concern you, Ms. Zhang." "Actually, I was just reading the hotel policy guide this morning," Lily continued calmly. "There are no age restrictions for the garden terrace. The quiet hours only apply to the meditation corner on the east side." She pointed to a small sectioned-off area with yoga mats. The father of the family gave Lily a grateful look. "That's what we thought too." Rebecca's nostrils flared slightly. "I'm simply trying to ensure all of our guests have a pleasant experience. Some of our more distinguished visitors have complained about noise." "I understand," Lily said. "But making up rules that don't exist isn't the solution. Perhaps the hotel could consider creating a family section within the garden instead." The young family looked hopefully at Rebecca, who was clearly fuming at being challenged publicly. "I don't recall the Grand Meridian hiring you as a consultant on hotel policy, Ms. Zhang," Rebecca said icily, "especially given your limited experience with luxury establishments." The insult was clear, but Lily remained composed. "You don't need to work at a luxury hotel to recognize good customer service or the lack of it." A few nearby guests had stopped to watch the exchange. Harold and Grace looked on with concern, while a businessman at a nearby table didn't bother hiding his interest in the confrontation. "I suggest you mind your own business," Rebecca hissed, dropping her professional facade momentarily, "unless you'd prefer to find your reservation suddenly canceled due to an unfortunate system error." The threat was clear, but before Lily could respond, a tall man in an immaculate suit approached. His nameplate identified him as Robert Hayes, hotel manager. "Is there a problem here?" he asked, his expression pleasant but his eyes sharp. "No problem, Mr. Hayes," Rebecca said quickly, "just explaining our garden policies to some guests." Mr. Hayes turned to the young family. "The garden terrace is open to all guests, including children. Please enjoy your time here while waiting for your room." His smile was genuine as he added, "I believe the fountain area is particularly popular with our younger visitors." The family thanked him and moved toward the fountain, the children's excitement restored. Mr. Hayes then turned to Lily, his expression changing subtly as he looked at her more closely. "Ms. Zhang, isn't it?" he asked, his tone shifting to one of careful respect. Lily was surprised he knew her name. "Yes, that's right. Might I have a word with you in private?" He gestured toward a small sitting area away from the other guests. Rebecca watched with confusion as the hotel manager led Lily away with a deference usually reserved for VIP guests. Once they were seated, Mr. Hayes lowered his voice. "Ms. Zhang, I must apologize for not recognizing you sooner. I was reviewing the upcoming transitions with our guest list when I noticed your name. If I had realized you were already staying with us..." Lily suddenly understood. "Mr. Hayes, I think there's been a misunderstanding." "There's no need for modesty," he insisted. "I should have been notified immediately of your arrival. We would have placed you in the presidential suite, of course." "That's very kind, but I prefer to stay in my current room," Lily replied. Mr. Hayes looked genuinely perplexed. "But surely as David Zhang's daughter you'd be more comfortable in our finest accommodations. Your father's acquisition of the Grand Meridian chain is the most significant development in our hotel's history." Lily sighed. The secret was out, at least to the manager. "Mr. Hayes, I came early specifically to experience the hotel as a regular guest. My father doesn't even know I'm here yet. It was meant to be a surprise when he arrives for the transition meeting." Understanding dawned on the manager's face. "A quality control visit." "Not officially," Lily clarified. "Just a daughter wanting to understand her father's newest investment from a customer perspective." Mr. Hayes glanced back at Rebecca, who was still watching them with naked curiosity. "And what have you found during your stay, if I may ask?" Lily chose her words carefully. "There are aspects of the guest experience that don't match the Grand Meridian's reputation for excellence." The manager's expression grew serious. "I see. Would you be willing to share your observations? Perhaps over lunch in my office?" "I would, but I'd prefer to remain incognito for now," Lily replied. "My father arrives tomorrow, and I'd like to complete my experience as an ordinary guest until then." Mr. Hayes nodded slowly. As you wish, Ms. Jung, but please allow me to ensure the remainder of your stay is more representative of our true standards. Thank you, but no special treatment, Lily insisted. Just ensure all guests receive the courtesy they deserve. After their conversation, Lily returned to her book while Mr. Hayes spoke quietly but firmly to Rebecca. The receptionist's expression shifted from confusion to shock, and she kept glancing at Lily with new eyes. For the rest of the day, Lily noticed subtle changes in her treatment. Her room was properly cleaned for the first time since her arrival. When she ordered room service, it arrived promptly and with unexpected complimentary items. The staff who had previously ignored her now smiled warmly when she passed. Only Rebecca maintained her distance, though the open hostility had been replaced by wary observation. Lily could almost see the wheels turning in the receptionist's mind as she tried to reconcile the shabby-looking guest with the revelation Mr. Hayes had obviously shared. That evening, as Lily returned from dinner, she found Thomas the concierge waiting for her near the elevators. "Ms. Zhang," he said quietly, "your package was located. It had been misfiled." He handed her a courier envelope with her name clearly printed on the front. "Also, Mr. Hayes asked me to provide you with this." He offered a hotel envelope containing a new keycard. "What's this for?" Lily asked. "Just a functioning keycard for your current room," Thomas explained with a knowing smile. "No room changes as per your request, but perhaps one that actually works consistently." Lily thanked him, appreciating the small gesture that acknowledged her wishes while still improving her basic experience. As she rode the elevator up to her floor, Lily thought about tomorrow's meeting with her father. The lessons from her 3 days as an ordinary guest at the Grand Meridian would shape their discussion about the hotel's future, and perhaps Rebecca's role in it. What the receptionist didn't yet realize was that her moment of reckoning was coming, and it would arrive with the morning flight from Singapore, carrying a humble businessman who, despite his wealth, still carried his own luggage and treated everyone he met with the same quiet respect. The morning of the 4th day dawned with a buzz of excitement throughout the Grand Meridian. Staff moved with heightened purpose, straightening already perfect flower arrangements and polishing surfaces that already gleamed. Lily noticed the change immediately when she stepped out of the elevator. Today was the day her father was scheduled to arrive for the ownership transition meeting. Lily checked her phone. No messages yet, which meant her father's flight was still on schedule to land at 11 a.m. She had planned to meet him in the lobby, maintaining her cover until the perfect moment. The thought brought a small smile to her face. Despite Rebecca's efforts, her stay had been enlightening, if not entirely pleasant. After a quick breakfast, during which she noticed the staff seemed nervous and extra attentive, Lily returned to her room to prepare for her father's arrival. As she was selecting a simple but elegant outfit, her phone buzzed with a text message. "Surprise, landed early. We'll be at hotel in 30 minutes. Lily's heart skipped a beat. Her father was arriving ahead of schedule, which meant he might check in while she was still getting ready. She quickly finished dressing and hurried downstairs, hoping to reach the lobby before he did. As she rushed through the corridor, she nearly collided with Mr. Hayes, who was instructing a group of staff members. "Ms. Zhang," he said with a small bow, "is everything all right?" "My father's arriving earlier than expected," she explained. A flash of concern crossed the manager's face. "I see. The welcome preparations aren't quite complete, and the executive team is still assembling in the conference room." "It's fine," Lily assured him. "My father prefers things simple anyway." Mr. Hayes nodded, though he still looked anxious. "Rebecca is handling the front desk this morning. Should I?" "No," Lily said firmly. "Let's see how she manages without any special instructions." The manager looked uncertain but respected her decision. "As you wish." Lily positioned herself in a corner of the lobby with a good view of the entrance and the reception desk. Rebecca was there, as Mr. Hayes had mentioned, looking particularly polished today. Her blonde hair was swept into an elegant updo, and she wore a crisp new blazer with her name tag prominently displayed. At precisely 10:15 a.m., a modest taxi pulled up to the hotel entrance. Lily watched as her father stepped out, paid the driver, and retrieved his own luggage, a simple rolling suitcase and a worn leather briefcase. David Zhang had never been one for limousines or extravagant displays despite his success. He believed in experiencing the world as most people did. David entered the lobby, looking much like any other business traveler in his simple navy suit. Nothing about his appearance suggested he was about to become the owner of one of the most prestigious hotel chains in the country. At 55, he had the weathered face of someone who had worked hard all his life, with kind eyes behind simple glasses and smile lines that deepened when he spotted his daughter across the lobby. Lily stayed where she was, curious to see how events would unfold. Her father approached the reception desk where Rebecca was finishing with another guest. "Good morning," David said with a warm smile. "I believe you have a reservation for David Zhang." Rebecca's professional smile flickered briefly as she registered the name. "Zhang, you said?" She tapped at her computer. "I don't see a reservation under that name for today." "That's strange," David replied. "It should be there. I'm here for meetings regarding the ownership transition." Rebecca frowned slightly. "Are you with the legal team?" "Those reservations would be under the corporate booking." "No, I'm David Zhang," he repeated patiently. "I'm here to meet with Robert Hayes and the executive team." Rebecca's expression shifted to one of mild condescension. "Mr. Zhang of Zhang Global Investments? I believe there's been a misunderstanding. Mr. Zhang isn't scheduled to arrive until this afternoon, according to our briefing. And—" Her eyes flicked over his simple attire and worn luggage. "Perhaps you've confused the meeting details?" David's expression remained pleasant. "There's no confusion. I decided to arrive early to get settled before the meetings begin. My daughter is already staying here, actually." "Your daughter?" Rebecca repeated, her voice suddenly cautious. "Yes, Lily Zhang. She arrived a few days ago. Is she here?" "I was hoping to surprise her." Rebecca's face paled slightly. "Lily Zhang is your daughter?" "She is," David confirmed. "Could you check if she's in the hotel? I'd like to see her before my meetings start." Before Rebecca could respond, Lily decided it was time to reveal herself. She crossed the lobby toward them. "Dad!" David turned, his face lighting up. "Lily, there you are." He embraced her warmly. "I wanted to surprise you." "Looks like we had the same idea," Lily laughed. "I arrived early to see the hotel before you got here." Rebecca stood frozen behind the desk, her eyes darting between father and daughter as understanding dawned on her face. "Ms. Zhang," she began hesitantly. "I didn't realize." Her words were cut short as Mr. Hayes hurried across the lobby, followed by several people in business attire. "Mr. Zhang," the manager called, extending his hand. "We weren't expecting you so early." "Welcome to the Grand Meridian." David shook his hand warmly. "Thank you, Robert. I hope my early arrival hasn't caused any inconvenience." "Not at all, not at all," Mr. Hayes assured him, though his slightly frantic glance at his watch suggested otherwise. "The executive team is just assembling in the Highland Room, and I see you've already found your daughter." "Yes, it seems she had the same idea I did, checking things out ahead of time," David said with a proud smile at Lily. Mr. Hayes nodded, then turned to Rebecca with a significant look. "Rebecca, please have Mr. Zhang's luggage sent to the presidential suite immediately, and ensure all the welcome arrangements are expedited." Rebecca seemed unable to find her voice, her eyes fixed on Lily with a mixture of shock and dawning horror. "Yes, Mr. Hayes," she finally managed, her usual confident tone replaced by a nervous whisper. "Actually," David interjected, "I'd prefer to keep my suitcase with me. Old habits, you know." He smiled at Rebecca. "And you are?" "Rebecca Miller, sir, senior receptionist." Her voice trembled slightly. "Ah, Rebecca, have you been taking good care of my daughter during her stay?" The question hung in the air like a thundercloud. Rebecca's eyes darted to Lily, silently pleading. Lily could have said many things in that moment. She could have listed every slight, every manufactured inconvenience, every humiliation. Instead, she simply said, "Dad, why don't we talk about my stay after your meeting? I'm sure you have a lot to discuss with the executive team." Relief flooded Rebecca's face, quickly replaced by confusion at the unexpected reprieve. "Of course," David agreed, checking his watch. "But I'd love to see your room first if there's time." Mr. Hayes looked alarmed. "Ms. Zhang's room? Perhaps after the meeting would be better? We've prepared the presidential suite for your inspection." "I'm more interested in seeing a standard room," David said firmly. "The presidential suite isn't what most guests experience, is it?" The manager's discomfort was palpable. "As you wish, Mr. Zhang." As they walked toward the elevators, Lily could feel Rebecca's gaze following them. The receptionist stood rooted to the spot, her perfectly composed facade crumbling as she realized the magnitude of her mistake. In the elevator, David turned to his daughter. "So how has your stay really been?" Lily considered the question carefully. "Educational," she finally said. "Very educational," David nodded, understanding in his eyes. "Problems?" "Nothing we can't fix," Lily replied. "But yes, there are issues that need addressing." When they reached room 312, David took in the small space, the view of the air conditioning units, and the constant mechanical hum with an experienced eye. "Not exactly what's advertised on the website," he commented. "It was even worse before Mr. Hayes figured out who I was," Lily explained. "I was originally in 418, which had plumbing issues. Then I was moved here after my keycard mysteriously stopped working." David's expression grew serious. "And the staff?" "Mixed," Lily said honestly. "Thomas at the concierge desk is excellent. The housekeeping team works hard but seems understaffed. The restaurant servers are well trained but clearly stressed. And the senior receptionist? Miss Miller?" Lily met her father's gaze directly. "She's been systematically ensuring that guests she deems unworthy have a subpar experience." "It's not just me, Dad. I've seen her do it to others, an elderly couple. A family with children, people who don't look like they belong in a luxury hotel." David nodded slowly, his expression thoughtful rather than angry. "I see." He checked his watch again. "I should get to that meeting. We have a lot to discuss about the future of this hotel, more than I realized." As they returned to the lobby, they found Rebecca still at the front desk, though she now looked as if she might be sick. Mr. Hayes stood nearby with the executive team, all of them watching anxiously as David and Lily approached. "Ready for your meeting, Mr. Zhang?" the manager asked. "Yes, though I'd like to add one agenda item," David replied. "Guest experience standardization." His eyes briefly met Rebecca's before he turned to follow the executive team toward the conference rooms. Rebecca's face had gone completely white. She looked at Lily, who had stayed behind in the lobby. "Ms. Zhang," she began, her voice barely above a whisper. Lily held up a hand. "We'll talk after my father's meeting, Ms. Miller." As she walked away, Lily felt no triumph, no vindication, only a quiet determination. What happened next would not be about revenge, but about fixing a broken system, one that had allowed someone like Rebecca to thrive while making other people feel small. The executive meeting ran longer than scheduled. Lily waited in the hotel's quiet library, reviewing her notes about her stay. Each incident with Rebecca, each observation about the hotel's strengths and weaknesses, each conversation with other guests, all carefully documented. This wasn't about personal revenge anymore. It was about something her father had taught her since childhood. Businesses exist to serve people, not the other way around. At 3:30, Thomas the concierge appeared at the library door. "Ms. Zhang, your father has asked to see you in the Highland room." Lily gathered her things and followed him through the lobby. She noticed Rebecca was no longer at the front desk. Instead, a young man with a nervous smile was checking in new arrivals. The Highland room was one of the hotel's smaller meeting spaces, with windows overlooking the garden terrace. When Lily entered, she found her father sitting alone at the table, reviewing documents. "How did it go?" she asked. David looked up with a tired smile. "Enlightening. Mr. Hayes is a good manager in many ways, but he's been focused on the wrong metrics. Occupancy rates and average daily rates don't tell the whole story." "What happens now?" "Now we talk to Ms. Miller," David said, his expression thoughtful. "I've asked her to join us at 4 o'clock. Lily raised an eyebrow. "The executive team recommended firing her, didn't they?" "Unanimously," David confirmed. "Mr. Hayes had quite a lot to say about her after you left. Apparently she's been the subject of several guest complaints over the past year. But you haven't decided yet," Lily observed. David shook his head. "I wanted to hear your thoughts first. You experienced her behavior directly, and you've always been a good judge of character." Lily considered this. What did Mr. Hayes say about the complaints against her? Mostly from guests she deemed unworthy of 5-star treatment. Families with children, younger travelers, people who booked through discount sites. David frowned, but she's also received outstanding reviews from certain guests. Wealthy regulars, celebrities, business executives. Two-tiered service, Lily said, nodding. That matches what I observed. A soft knock interrupted their conversation. Rebecca stood in the doorway, her usual confident posture replaced by a nervous rigidity. Her eyes were slightly red, suggesting she might have been crying. "You asked to see me, Mr. Zhang?" Her voice was steady but quiet. "Yes, please come in, Ms. Miller." David gestured to a chair. "Close the door behind you." Rebecca did as instructed, then hesitated, glancing between the two empty chairs, one beside Lily, the other across from her. "Either seat is fine," David said gently. Rebecca chose the chair across from Lily, her hands folded tightly in her lap. "Ms. Miller, I'd like to discuss your interactions with my daughter during her stay," David began. "But first I'd like to hear your side of things." Rebecca looked surprised at being given the chance to speak. "Mr. Zhang, she swallowed hard. "There's no excuse for my behavior. I treated your daughter poorly because I made assumptions based on her appearance. I was wrong, deeply wrong, and I'm prepared to accept whatever consequences you think appropriate." The rehearsed quality of her words suggested she had been practicing this speech, anticipating termination. "Why did you do it?" Lily asked simply. Rebecca seemed startled by the direct question. She hesitated, then her shoulders slumped slightly. "The truth?" David nodded. "Always the best place to start." "I've worked here for 12 years, Rebecca said. "When I started, the Grand Meridian was the city's premier luxury hotel. We catered to a certain type of guest, politicians, celebrities, old money. Our reputation was built on exclusivity." She glanced between father and daughter before continuing. "But in recent years, with online booking sites and loyalty programs, our clientele has changed. Management pushed us to maintain our exclusive image while filling rooms with guests who—" She trailed off, seeming to realize how her words sounded. "Guests who don't fit your image of who belongs here," Lily finished for her. Rebecca nodded, looking ashamed. "I convinced myself I was protecting the hotel's standards. The guests who paid less or didn't look the part would ruin the experience for our premium clients." She met Lily's eyes directly. "But the truth is I was just being snobby and cruel. Your arrival, someone who didn't match my narrow definition of a proper guest, pushed all my buttons. And instead of providing service, I provided judgment." The raw honesty of her admission hung in the air for a moment. David broke the silence. "Ms. Miller, do you know why I was interested in acquiring the Grand Meridian chain?" Rebecca shook her head. "I grew up poor," David said simply. "My parents were immigrants who worked multiple jobs. When I was 16, I got a job as a dishwasher at a luxury hotel much like this one." He gestured around them. "I was fascinated by the operation, how all the pieces worked together to create a perfect experience for guests." He smiled at a distant memory. "One day, a wedding party came in. The father of the bride noticed me watching from the kitchen doorway. Instead of complaining about the staff being visible, he invited me to join them for cake. He said, 'This boy works as hard as anyone here. He deserves to celebrate too.'" David's eyes refocused on Rebecca. "That moment changed my life. Not just the kindness, but the recognition that luxury isn't about exclusivity. It's about ensuring everyone feels valued. When I started my first hotel 20 years ago, I built it on that principle." Rebecca looked down at her hands. "I understand if you want me to leave immediately. I can clear my desk within the hour. Is that what you want?" David asked. "To leave?" Rebecca looked up, confused. "What I want. I assumed—" "Ms. Miller," David leaned forward. "You've worked here 12 years. You know this hotel inside and out. You clearly care about the guest experience, even if your vision of it has been misguided." "Dad," Lily interjected gently. "Rebecca made my stay here intentionally unpleasant. She's done the same to other guests." "I know," David acknowledged, "and there need to be consequences for that behavior." He turned back to Rebecca. "The question is whether those consequences should be punitive or constructive." Rebecca seemed genuinely bewildered. "I don't understand." "The Grand Meridian is changing," David explained. "Not just ownership, but philosophy. We need staff who understand both luxury service and inclusivity, that everyone deserves to be treated with dignity, regardless of appearance or room category." He slid a folder across the table toward Rebecca. "This is a proposal. Instead of termination, you would spend the next month working with our guest experience team, including 2 weeks at our training center. You would help develop new customer service protocols for the entire chain, focusing on consistent courtesy across all guest interactions." Rebecca stared at the folder, then at David. You're offering me a chance to stay? After what I did? I'm offering you a chance to be part of the solution, David corrected. To help transform a culture you helped create. It won't be comfortable, and it will require real change on your part. But I believe people deserve second chances when they acknowledge their mistakes and commit to doing better. Rebecca turned to Lily. And you? What do you think of this proposal? Lily considered the question carefully. I think people can change when they want to. The real question is, do you want to change or do you just want to keep your job? The directness of the question seemed to shake something loose in Rebecca. Tears welled in her eyes. When Mr. Hayes told me who you were, I was horrified. But not just because of the consequences. I suddenly saw myself through your eyes, through the eyes of everyone I've treated poorly. I didn't like that person. She wiped a tear away. Yes, I want to change. Whether I keep this job or not. Lily nodded, satisfied with the sincerity of the answer. Then I support my father's proposal. 6 months later, Lily returned to the Grand Meridian for the grand reopening following extensive renovations. The lobby had been redesigned to be both elegant and welcoming, with comfortable seating areas and a new children's corner tastefully integrated into the space. As she approached the front desk, she was surprised to see Rebecca still there, now wearing a name tag that identified her as Guest Experience Manager. The woman looked up and immediately recognized Lily, a genuine smile spreading across her face. Ms. Zhang, welcome back to the Grand Meridian. The warmth in her voice was real, not the practiced hospitality of before. Your father mentioned you might be visiting today. How was your flight? A little delayed, but not bad, Lily replied, curious about the transformation. I've taken the liberty of preparing our garden suite for you, Rebecca continued. But please let me know if you'd prefer something different. We now have digital preference profiles for returning guests, but we always confirm rather than assume. As Rebecca continued the check-in process, Lily noticed her interaction with a family waiting in line. The same genuine welcome, the same respectful attention. When an elderly man approached with a question about his room, Rebecca stepped away from the computer to help him personally. Later, as Lily toured the renovated hotel with her father, she spotted Rebecca leading a training session for new staff in one of the meeting rooms. Through the glass doors, she could see the receptionist demonstrating greeting procedures to a diverse group of employees. She's become one of our best trainers, David commented, following Lily's gaze. The Rebecca method is what they're calling our new service protocol. After experiencing both sides of the coin, she has unique insight. The Rebecca method? Lily smiled. That's quite a turnaround. David nodded. Sometimes people just need to be shown a better way, and given the chance to become a better version of themselves. As they continued walking, Lily reflected that the true measure of luxury wasn't in crystal chandeliers or marble floors, but in how people were made to feel. The Grand Meridian had found its way back to that fundamental truth, and in the process had helped one person find her way back to herself.